Welcome back, everybody, to the Human Podcast. It has been a while, and a lot has changed. A little update on our lives right now. We ended up, since our last podcast, we moved to Virginia. We lived in Virginia for almost like 2 years.
Moved 4 times while we were in Virginia.
Moved like 4 times. Went through tons of different job changes, at least me.
Mm-hmm.
You worked at a college. I was managing, and we had a baby.
Yes.
And then the pandemic and all that other crap. So it has been a long time. I'm excited to be back, and there's no better way to come back than for me and Samantha to come on here and talk about like becoming parents. So the title of this episode is going to be Becoming Parents. So I guess we'll just hop right into it. So let's start off, I guess, with the pregnancy and like when you first found out. How did that feel?
Crazy, scary, amazing. We were about 2 weeks back from our cruise that we went on with my family. And the night before, I was drinking with my friend, and my thought was, if I do not get my time of the month by tomorrow, I'm taking a pregnancy test. Like, something felt different, off, weird, like I wasn't crampy. I had no symptoms of it, so I was like, let's just do it. Shaikim was at work, so I woke up, I took it, and it was positive. I cried. I took another one. It was positive. I cried. I stared at myself in the mirror like, what? No, I didn't know what to do. So I took my butt to work. I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want to say anything. I wanted Shaikim to be the first one to know. Went to work happy at this point now, ecstatic, like, oh my God, I'm carrying our child. And then my next thought was, how do I tell him? What do I do? I don't want to do something like, there's a bun in the oven, like, go look at it. But what I ended up doing was pretty stupid as well. So you came home from work that day.
Side note, mind you, she was texting me, and she was being so nice. She's already a nice person, but she was being so nice. She was like sending me all these hearts and kissy faces, and
I was happy.
All the I love yous. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I didn't know. I was just so confused. I was like, well, this is nice, but she's always. I'll be honest, like, you're always like that. But it was like times 10.
It was extra.
It was like
I just found out. Okay, it was extra.
No. I just had to put that in there. But go ahead.
So when you got home from work, I told you to close your eyes, and you said, "That's fine. I know this apartment like the back of my hand. I know where I'm going." And you were acting all big and tough, like you knew what was happening. And I had the pregnancy test in my back pocket, and I walked you in. And I put your hands on my stomach, and you knew immediately, you knew. And you freaked out a little bit. It was, the reaction that I would want from you, because I was nervous. We were states away from our family. We didn't know like where this would take us, what we were going to do. Like, financially, we were okay. We lived on our own. Like, everything was great. We had stable jobs, but there's still always that fear of, like, this is a big step, and this is a big next step. And you gave me a reaction that I knew we would be safe. I knew that the future of our child was going to be a phenomenal one. And I already knew from a long time before that pregnancy test turned up positive that you were going to be an exceptional father. So I was excited.
Exceptional. Number one.
So I was excited and I was happy. And then like a week, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
The pandemic hit and the world shut down, and
we had, I don't know if you said this, but we had vacationed just before that, and we were hearing things about COVID, but we didn't.
We thought it was a joke.
We were like, no way this will reach America type thing. Like, and on the cruise, they were hand sanitizing and all that, but nobody was wearing masks. Nobody was doing anything. Everybody was living their regular lives. We were hugging people, touching people, and then found out you were pregnant how many weeks later off of the cruise?
I think like 2 weeks.
So 2 weeks off of the cruise.
Maybe 4.
And then
2 to 4.
We find out you're pregnant, and then what?
2
more
weeks
weeks
after.
later? Like,
Yeah.
so a full month. And then the pandemic happened, and it was like lockdown. And side note, yeah, because I know what you're about to say. Navi is not a fucking COVID baby, okay?
I was not going to say that.
Well, I'm going to say it. She's not a fucking COVID baby. We did not have her during the pandemic.
Well, she was born during the pandemic.
Yeah,
but conception.
That shit happened on the cruise. So,
all right, but what I was going to say was, luckily, Shaikim wasn't as lucky in this department, but my college that I worked at shut down. So literally, as I was getting the symptoms of all-day sickness, it wasn't just morning sickness. I was sick all day. Like,
it felt like all day, every day.
It was terrible. There was construction going outside in our apartment. Shaikim came home from work one day. I was literally balled up in the closet just so it was dark, and it was the farthest point away from where the construction was out of our apartment.
It was awful.
The first trimester was crap.
Yeah, first trimester was definitely,
I was mean.
Pretty shitty. You weren't mean. She was mean for a good day or two. There was like a good 2-day period where I was like rethinking shit. I was like, hold up, dude, what is going on? She was so mean. Like I opened the door. Like, I woke up one morning and she didn't get out of bed. And I'm sitting out, we have a close to 1,000 square foot apartment. So it's not huge. And it was pretty much shaped like a big rectangle with a bedroom at the end of it. And you had to go through our bedroom to get to the bathroom. So I'm sitting just like right, on the other side of the door. And then an hour goes by. So I go in and I check on her. It looks like she's still sleeping. More hours go by. And I'm like, whoa, I'm getting kind of hungry. Like, I probably woke up at 9-ish. And that was like 12 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, she's still just in the room? Like, is she cool? So I go in and check on her. She's up. And I go, hey, I'm going to make some food. You want anything? And she just goes, nope. And I was like, okay. So I shut the door and I made myself some food. Came back maybe 30, 40 minutes later. Came in. I checked on her and I said, hey, you good? Is everything all right? And she looks up and she goes, yep, I'm good. And I was like, okay. So then
hormones.
I checked on her again, and the same thing. She just looks at me and she goes, yep, fine. I was like, all right, I'm going to go and take a walk because I don't know what's going on. So then I go outside and I take a walk. 5 minutes later, I can see the lights and everything on in the apartment. And she's playing Overwatch
with my friends. Shout out to Ninja.
Oh, shout out to Ninja. She's laughing and cracking jokes. So I take this super long walk because I'm like, I need to clear my head. I don't know what's going on. And I just walked around for a while. I come back in the apartment and she's cracking up. She's got her headset on so she can't hear that I just came in the apartment. She's cracking up, laughing. A whole new person. I'm like, you can't even tell she's going through anything right now. So then I'm like, I go up to her, and I can't even remember what I said.
Something about we need to talk.
Yeah. I just like, cause by that time I was like, okay, she was acting like that to me, like we need to talk, like, cause you were on the game, and I was like, no way, we need to talk. We need to get this straightened out, cause
that was the only
stuff
time
was stressing me out. But that was the only time. And then we had a conversation about it, and that was pretty much it. Like, we had a convo. I think you cried. And I don't know if I was being mean or anything, but I was like, look, I'm be here for you, but like you're being so mean to me, and then you get on a video game and you're like busting it up. And when I came in and I asked her
I was
something,
having a great time.
she was acting the exact same way. So that's when I was like, okay, so she's just doing this to me. Like, she's just being an asshole to me. So we had a convo, and it was not even a long conversation. We just had a convo about how I'm feeling and about how you feeling. And you probably cried because you were very emotional. And then that was probably it. That was like the only time you were mean.
And then the rest of the pregnancy was pretty great after that.
After the first trimester.
Literally, as soon as the first trimester ended, I got migraines.
You got a migraine one time because I fed you like some steak and potatoes, and you wolfed it.
I ate. Oh my god!
You wolfed that food
I got it was so good.
And like I made her this big steak dinner.
It was so hard for me to eat during the first trimester.
Yeah.
Like, I ate the weirdest things. Since I didn't have work, I would be up till like 3, 4 a.m. every day, and I would literally make like deviled eggs and pickles.
Yeah.
Like,
deviled eggs and pickles.
I would eat.
And like
while Shaikim was sleeping.
Apples and peanut butter.
I loved apples. No peanut butter. Just apples.
Just apples, yeah. Apples, peanut butter. No, apples, deviled eggs, and pickles. That was like That was the food she was eating.
Go-to.
And now Navi loves pickles. She does. She doesn't even make a face.
Well,
we'll
continue. Yeah, we'll bring up Navi in a bit.
Yeah.
But the rest of the pregnancy was pretty great. We kept the gender of our baby a
secret.
We didn't
even know.
Yeah. But to me, I just thought this was going to be, like, you don't get any more true surprises. And I wanted it to be a surprise. And it was fun. Like, I swore we were having a boy the entire time.
Look, I already knew.
Shaikim knew we were having a girl the entire time.
I already knew.
But it was fun. It was friendly competition, and it was just, it made the experience more enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the pregnancy was, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, I'm not you, but you had a glow. You were happy. The pandemic was doing you well.
Oh, yes.
You got to sleep in and play video games as much as you wanted.
Shout out to Sweetbriar.
Yeah, shout out to Sweetbriar College, Jody.
And we
Olivia,
moved.
you know what's up.
We moved like 3 or 4 times, and I didn't lift a finger.
Yeah, she didn't lift a finger.
And then the birth. Let's get there. I mean,
yeah.
the second and third trimester, it was just, you're getting bigger. I was literally getting bigger. Harder to move.
Mm-hmm.
I looked like a thumb.
From the side, yeah.
From the back, you couldn't even tell I was pregnant.
Her belly looked like this from the side. It was just a thumb. Navi was, well, yeah. The birth was. The pregnancy was the pregnancy. You face normal things, like you're going through normal things. I guess we'll kind of skip towards that. We're on a time slot here that we want to meet, so we're gonna skip to the when you told me you were.
Going into labor.
Yeah.
So it was about 2 a.m. on Saturday morning. So Friday evening, Saturday morning, 2 a.m. I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yes.
I was sitting on a yoga birthing ball, and I was like, hold up. I've never felt this before.
Yeah.
And I was
you
like,
were
okay.
getting the Braxton Hicks.
Yeah, Braxton Hicks contractions.
Yeah, at first you were getting those.
So I was like, okay, maybe these are just like those, like, I took some, I think like the melatonin gummies, like the calming gummies, and I went to sleep, and I was like, they're going to go away. These come and go until they start like coming at intervals and they get stronger. Like, we're good. So I go to sleep. I barely slept because those contractions were continuing. And by the time you woke up, I was staring at you. You literally woke up and turned around, and I was just like, it's time.
Did you say that?
I don't know. I think I said, I think I'm in labor.
Yeah.
Or like, I think I'm going into labor. And you were like, oh, we'll call the midwife. Like, I'm going to go to work. We're going to see what happens.
Well, I didn't know. I don't know.
We don't know what labor was,
yeah,
but you were scheduled, so.
So I was scheduled, and I was like, well, let me go and open the store, because from what we heard from like our midwife, was like early labor, you don't really got to worry about nothing. So I was like, let me just go and drive and open the store up.
Especially with your first.
Yeah. So
she was right.
And she was absolutely right. That was the longest thing in the world. So I just went and I opened up the store, and I think Bud or Ashton, somebody came in and they kind of took over for me, and
You left from like 9 to noon.
yeah, like I wasn't there long,
No.
like maybe 2 hours or something, and I just went
Yeah.
right home. And then you were upstairs.
I was in between laying down
Yeah, you were
and
going to
just
sleep.
taking baths.
So
My midwife pretty much told me to keep taking like the calming gummies, like, and just try and get as much rest as possible. If the contractions are continuing to come at those intervals, like,
yeah,
and if they are getting stronger, just try and rest as much as possible. And that she would check back in on me in the afternoon and then later and see what happened. So Saturday, when you got back, I think we ended up calling your mom, who ended up being our doula.
yeah.
So we gave her a call and just let
Shout
her know.
out Mama Nita.
Yes, thank you. If you need a doula, check out Anita Doula.
Yes, Anita Doula. Like, I need a doula.
I
Do
think
you
they
get
got
it? Because it's a really good play on words.
It is.
But you should check her out. She's
Yeah.
an amazing help.
But so she was already prepared, bags packed, supplies in the car. She was ready to go, hopped in the car. She got to us by probably 10 p.m. And at this point, I was like, this is so much fun. And it was only like 12 hours into
She
it.
really drove.
She drove
right up
6
to us.
hours.
She
Yep.
drove right to us.
And then 2 hours later, our midwife came to the house with the team. So it was like full action. All I remember
Yeah.
was your mom massaging me and like rubbing me with oils and playing music, and I'm eating pretzel rods on the couch. Like, I'm like, this is easy.
Oh, yeah, you were
boy.
smiling.
I was
you
in
were like,
such
yo,
a
this
good
is
mood.
great. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
30 hours later.
Yeah, 36.
So, well, let's see. They filled up the pool, the birthing tub, got that ready. I remember, so the sun set, the sun rose.
Yes.
The sun set, the
Yep.
sun rose.
And we were
And then
still
it was
up.
Sunday night, and my water still hadn't broken. Like,
Dude,
this child did not. She was happy and content.
she was
She was
fine where she was.
enjoying herself in the womb. And we tried everything. They were doing everything. Every time I got in the tub, like, my contractions were like skyrocketed. It was unbelievable. I swore like she was gonna come out with everyone. Shaikim was over here holding my hand as I'm like squeezing it, like
You're talking about in the...
dozing off, trying to stay
Oh,
awake.
yeah, man. We
You
were
got
like...
sat on. The midwife sat on his head.
Yeah, man. They were like, yeah, let's go upstairs and go to sleep. And this was the first night.
Yeah.
We were exhausted already. We had already been up so long. We were both exhausted. I tried to go to sleep and went in the bedroom. And the midwife came in to check on Samantha and legit sat down right on my head.
It was dark, granted, but yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. Not to me at the time, but
No.
that's besides the point. So let's get to there were some scary moments, like because you were in labor so long, water wasn't breaking.
Exhaustion.
They were trying to get you hydrated too. You started like rejecting stuff. And
I was
then-
in a daze at this point.
Yeah, like we were both probably in some type of daze. You physically and probably mentally was just like just kind of not done, but we were just so tired. It's been almost 2 days.
And I've read things about labor that like you're in this like drunk, tipsy haze, which I was. Like,
Yeah,
we couldn't have a conversation because I was just so
I
my
mean-
body took over,
and we were both so exhausted.
and that too.
Um,
But it got to the point where our midwife was like, listen, we need more technology. You're getting exhausted. Like,
yeah,
the baby could be stressed right now. Like, I just don't have everything that I wish I had here in your house.
right. And then on top of that, your heart rate was dropping, and Navi's heart
Navi's,
rate was dropping, and that's where I was like, dude,
A great car ride to the hospital.
yeah.
She wanted to
So-
call an ambulance, and I was like, mm-mm.
We're like, hell no.
No.
We're not calling no ambulance. We're getting in this car and we're driving. Look, we already paid you how much money?
like $3,000.
$3,000. Now you want us to pay an ambulance and go to the hospital?
Yeah.
No way. We're getting our asses in this car and we're driving down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was super scared, dude. Like,
it was me, Shaikim, and the midwife. And the midwife's in the back seat telling me to not push. My body is physically trying to push this baby out.
Yeah. And
I was, the only time I screamed was in the car.
Yeah, you never thrown up through the whole pregnancy until they were giving you the
castor oil.
The castor oil.
Did not
through the whole pregnancy, all of the morning sickness and all that.
Yeah.
She never threw up. And you never screamed or anything. You never got like crazy upset about anything. But we're in the car and the midwife is trying to tell her like you got to stop pushing. But at this point, it's not Samantha pushing. It's her body pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And you let out this demonish,
I can't.
like, she was like, I can't. And I was like, oh, shit.
Shaikim was just over there like.
I was rushing. Mind you, we live in the countryside, right? We lived in Sweetbriar, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And most of you have never heard of that place and will probably never think of that place again in your lives. But the roads were clear.
Yeah.
Like, there was barely any cars out. So we had this 20-minute drive. We probably made it there in like 15 minutes.
I don't remember.
And we get to the hospital and
my water breaks
Yep.
immediately.
They asked her like, well, what position are you good at laying in? And she was like, oh, I'm good right here. And you were laying on your side.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, okay, what I want you to do is put your leg up. And the next time you feel a contraction, you're going to hug your leg and you're going to push at the same time. And your water broke immediately. And we were like, dude, we weren't even here for 10 minutes.
Yeah. We literally pulled up to the hospital at like 7:02.
Yep.
I got in the room by 7:05, and by 7:57 she was born.
Yep. Yeah.
That's probably the timeline of that.
And so let's get your perspective on that, and then we'll kind of circle back to me, and then we'll move on. So what was that like? Because, hold on, I got to say something, too. Through the whole pregnancy, Samantha was saying that she was going to do this naturally, right? And I pay attention to the way that people respond and friends and family. And I pay attention to that stuff because it really means something to me, people's initial reactions on how they, when people believe in you or when they don't believe in you. You were saying that you were going to do this naturally. You had a feeling that you were able and capable of doing it naturally. And almost every single person I watched, laugh in her face and tell her that she wasn't going to do it. She was going to be begging for the medicine, and almost every single person. And that upset me a little bit because I was like, I don't think that's right. Like, why, you should be encouraging. We talk about this shit all the time. We talk about women empowerment and how all of us are struggling in some way, shape, or form. You could be black, a woman, or whatever, right? And we should be uplifting each other no matter what we're doing. So I didn't take those things as jokes. I kind of was just sitting there like, that's a little disrespectful,
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, 36 hours later, we're in the hospital, and her water finally breaks. The doctors or nurses, I don't even know, they start asking Samantha, do you still want to do this naturally? Because this is pretty much your last chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once we start, there's no turning back. And I swear to you, I never trusted a person more in my life. You looked at me, you turned around, she looked at me right in the eyes. We didn't say anything to each other. And you just turned around and you looked the nurse right in her eyes and you said, I'm doing it naturally. I'm doing it. And I was like, damn. I was like, I would have taken
the drugs.
All the drugs. I would have taken every last drop. Given me that sweet nectar. I would have, I'd have been on the shits. But she looked the nurse dead in the eyes and said, no, I want to do this naturally.
Mm-hmm.
That was her goal.
Burn like all hell.
And yeah, and you did it.
Yeah.
Like,
it was worth it though. Because I could feel everything, I could control the push. And, like, I didn't know what was coming out. Like, I hope this isn't TMI for anybody, but, like...
They listen to a podcast about becoming
yeah.
You guys can grow up a little bit. If you
I didn't know
gross.
what, like... Obviously, the head comes out first, but, like, I didn't know if it was just, like like this part, if her ears were out, like
Right.
if the whole head came out, like what was going on. But I was coherent enough to be able to listen to the nurses and the doctors, like, all right, slow down, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
and then try again, like, and then push again. So I didn't poop myself. I didn't tear.
I didn't poop. I didn't shit myself.
I didn't shit myself.
That's what she meant to say.
I didn't tear. Like, it was literally, it took a long time. It probably took, after my water broke, like 30 to 40 minutes
Yeah.
for her to actually be, like, come out of me.
It-
Like,
and it
just
wasn't
give
like
and
a-
take, give and take.
It wasn't like a rush either. Like, you follow perfect instruction.
Yeah.
Like, they were telling you what to do, and like I was sitting there watching, and I could see like the hair, like Navi's like head full of hair, and they were like they were dousing her in
Olive
olive
oil.
oil. I was like, yo, y'all about to cook something. They was dousing her. So I saw her hair coming out, but you were following perfect instruction. I remember, like, every single time they told you to slow down, I could see the baby, like, kind of retracting back, and then they would tell you to push again, and so it was perfect instruction.
The only thing going on in my head was, how the hell is this child breathing if she's stuck in my canal?
I kept thinking
like,
the same thing. I'm like, how is she
how does this
breathing?
work? But I guess whatever.
We're not going to get
Besides
into the
point.
science
No.
of it. I still don't know, but let's
But
move on.
anyway, so it was getting to the time, and the nurses were like, Shaikim, do you want to catch the baby? And he was like, yeah. And they were like, here, put on some gloves.
And then I didn't catch the baby. She was born, and they just held her up, and they just gave her right to Samantha. And I was like, okay, cool. Me with my
But
visitor's
he
tag.
did get to cut the umbilical cord.
I did get to do that rubbery thing. It was the hardest thing I'd ever cut.
And then I had to birth the placenta, which
That was probably not fun.
it was weird.
Yeah.
It was just very weird.
Yeah.
For all the women, like, if you ever had like a large flow in your period and you get like those big globs of blood, like, that's kind of what it felt like. Anyway, we're not going to go too much into that because nobody needs to hear about the birthing of the placenta.
So,
Do you want to discuss quickly at all before we go into questions, or?
yeah,
Because we're going to have to go through those
I guess
quick.
like the first thing I'll say for me, having Navi there, we finally got home. Navi's there, and like, what? You were exhausted. Yeah, we went home the same night because we had our midwife. So everything that the hospital was going to do, our midwife was already hired for, so we were able to go home the same night. So Samantha got to sleep, and
in my own bed.
in her own bed, and Navi was up crying every 5 minutes. And I'll be honest, as tired as I was, because we were for almost 3 days now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the third day of being awake.
We got home Sunday at like 1:30 a.m.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. Navi cried for the first time. I like heard her like crying, and every single time I got up to feed her, I just didn't feel anything. Like, I didn't feel any of the exhaustion that people were talking about or anything. I literally just kind of sprung out, and I felt like all of my selfishness had left because I was so concerned with the baby and just saying, like, can we do this, keep this thing alive? But I was just so concerned. I just wanted her to be okay, and I can't believe how far she's come. But
Me too.
I
Me
guess-
too, as in like me literally. This is 9 months, and it's the first time
Yeah.
she's not with me.
Yes,
so.
this is our not my first time, but this is your first time
Yes.
officially not being with her.
Yes.
So 9 months, you have not been without her this whole time,
Yes.
and you're doing fantastic.
Well, thank you.
So let's go into questions. Our time is drawn near, so we'll go into some questions from Facebook. So we had this thing that we wanted to do, where we had people ask us a couple questions. I think we have 10. We're going to try to answer them all. So let's get into it.
All right. Question number 1 from Mama Subal.
Yeah.
Explain your decision to keep the baby's photos off social media. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. Social media, in my opinion, isn't even a good space to begin with. And a lot of us say that, you know, we need breaks from social media. We need these things from social media. And all you do is just constantly stare at other people's lives. So my initial thought when she was being born was, I was like, I actually don't even feel that comfortable with posting her online. I don't even know nearly half of the people I have on my Facebook. I have no idea who they are. My personal Instagram was deleted, so I had my art page, and I was like, I don't even know any of those people. Like, I barely know any of those people. A couple of my friends and family follow it, but I barely know. I had 1,900 people on my Facebook page. I don't know 1,900 people. And how many of those people do I actually trust, right?
Right.
So we had to do some cleaning up. So that was like my biggest point, right? There are perverts out there.
Yes.
There are people out there who, you know, they'll say, you don't know how many of your photos have been saved by someone that you barely know on your Facebook or Instagram or something, and are making fake pages of. And God forbid someone does that with our daughter, and it's just like, it's fucking creepy, you know? So those are some of the things that were going through my mind as to like why I didn't necessarily feel super comfortable with posting her online at first.
And I agree with that 100%. My other thought is now that it's 2021, and yes, Navi biologically is born a female, but with everything that's going on with gender and, you know, the identity of that, what happens if she becomes 9, 10, or at whatever age, and she doesn't feel comfortable in her skin, and she sees all of her family, like, she'll look back and all of it on social media is her in these dresses that maybe she doesn't like, or, you know, she feels some type of way and that's embarrassing to her. Like, she doesn't have consent. She doesn't have the ability to give consent. And until she does have that ability, I don't want anyone posting pictures of her.
Yeah.
And if you care about her and you care about us, reach out. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the last things that were on our minds as well, like, yeah, we had a baby and everybody's kind of hitting us up for pictures. That was the last thing on my mind, period.
Yeah.
That was the last thing on my mind. I was not concerned with sending pictures and doing any of that. But, you know, obviously we're better equipped now to do that stuff. So if you guys want pictures, hit us up. Yes, we still don't give people permission to post her, but
Right.
if we trust you enough already, we would have already sent you a picture.
Yeah.
I mean, or if you hit us up and we send you a picture, yes, we trust you, and you know, and we trust that you wouldn't do anything with that. So that's kind of
The answer to that.
yeah,
question.
that answers that. So what's the next one?
How do you manage to maintain a healthy relationship after the baby? I think
Did you know who that was?
someone on yours. That was on yours.
Yeah.
But I think just open communication, honestly, just being honest, like after the birth when I was kind of going through a little bit of the postpartum depression and just like, it's hard. Having a newborn is hard. I just really had to talk to you, and we continue to talk to each other and not forget that, you know, you are my first and my greatest love, and she is just an addition. Like, I do not in any way love her more than you. It's a different type of love.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And to your point, like, this is a love that I've never had before and I've never experienced. So yes, I think and this is just our personal thought. We're not saying that this is truth.
Right.
But in our experience, I feel like this is just a different type that one could confuse that with saying, I love her more, or I love this thing more. But it's like, no, this is just something different that you've never felt before.
Yeah.
I'd do anything for our baby, period. And I think with that, if I'm willing to do anything for her, I was already willing to do anything for you. So we continued to have good communication. I think 100%, if I could ever put any, like, what I'm proud of on our relationship is that we really communicate with each other.
Yeah.
100%. Like, if we are upset about something, and we've really learned, like...
And I was bad at it at first, guys, so...
I mean, you were bad at just not talking about it.
Yeah.
I was bad at it, at being combative.
Yes.
Like if you came to me and you said something that you didn't like, I would immediately get defensive.
Yes, that's true.
But we were able to tell each other that, and we had the maturity to listen to the other person. Damn, I do get combative. Or, damn, I guess I'm not saying what's on my mind. And constantly reassuring each other, I love you, I am here for you. If I need to do a little bit more growing up for you to trust me so that you can talk to me, I got to work on that. And we've come a long way.
Indeed.
So I think that's how we are able to just maintain a healthy relationship. That came from Tiana Bennett on Facebook, that question. So what's the next one?
What was the hardest part about having a new baby and working? This is from Amy from my sorority, who is pregnant. Congrats. Yes, very exciting. So I was very lucky. My job was great. I worked from home most of the time. I would go into the office every now and then with Navi, but I don't think I have a true right to talk about this question. So you go ahead.
Yeah, you got super lucky.
And I'm still very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, we've both been super, super lucky that we're able to kind of have you just chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and I work, and I'm 100% okay with that. Now, for me, going to work, it was hard, you know. I'm not a religious person, but I did definitely have a cry on my first time driving to work afterwards. I just cried because I was very thankful. And that was pretty much it. I think how I deal with it, though, is I just know that there's other people who do it, and it's harder for them. We have been so lucky, I feel like I don't have a right to complain. Like, it's just no right. You know, like, no matter how hard it is for me, someone else out there is struggling with this on a much worse level. I go to work and I sell shit. I stand up. I can sit down if I want to. I can take a break when I want to. I live a mile away from my house now. Like, I work a mile away from the house now. Like, I don't have a right, you know, to sit there and nitpick and complain about going to work and not seeing my baby. Like, I can go on lunch and see my baby if I want to. There's other people who are single moms, single parents, maybe don't have good relationships with their significant others or their baby's mom or baby dad, you know, so they're struggling a lot more. So that's how I can say, for me, that's how I handle it. I channel my inner dads, and they give me strength. So that's it.
Question 4, how do you deal with your birth plan not going the way you expected it to? This is from Angie.
Okay.
So this definitely happened to us. We got transferred to the hospital. I think as hard as it was, like, Shaikim and I were both crying when she said that we were going to have to be transferred to the hospital.
Yeah.
But I think in that moment, it was really just listening to the medical provider and doing what was best for the baby.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you have your baby in your arms and you're both safe and healthy, you know, even if you end up having like a NICU baby and they have to stay in the hospital a little longer, you're going to listen, and eventually your baby is going to get strong, and it's all going to be in the past.
We've got such good friends and family. Like, we know people whose babies were in the NICU, right? Like, look at two of our best friends.
Yeah.
And you know, our very beautiful niece, Leanna. And look at how far she's come. Happy
that
birthday,
girl
by
is
the way.
Smart.
She's smart. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
I mean, like, and she was born a little prematurely. So we knew we had those strong examples to kind of go back on if something happened. Like, she's going to be okay.
She's going to be okay.
We knew it was going to be okay, and we just kind of went with the flow.
This is from your dad,
Okay.
Mr. Boyd. What role does a man play in the delivery process, and what should a man do to support his birthing partner through it all? So I'm not going to speak on all men, but I think the best thing that you did for me was to just be present and hold my hand and let me squeeze the shit out of it when I needed to.
Yeah.
If I broke a finger, I broke a finger. But you constantly, you know, just how you said earlier, like, we didn't even need to say anything to each other, but just our relationship, our trust, our honesty that we have, just your presence and knowing, like, I had your support was all I needed.
Yeah.
You gave me water when I needed it. You held my hand.
Yeah, I
That's
was just
literally,
there, man. You were doing all the work. I was just there to be the punching bag, really. Like, honestly. So that was pretty much it. I just needed to show support. Period.
All right, next one. How does being a parent change your perspective on your own body? I think this was Serena.
Okay.
I think this one and the next one. What shifts have you noticed in your relationship since becoming parents? I think they're both from Serena. So, perspective on my own body. Luckily, not much other than my boobs grew. Like literally the day after I gave birth, I stood in front of the mirror and I looked down and I was like, hello, babies. Like, what?
Yo, yeah, them Jones was knocking.
They were juicy, full of milk. So, but luckily my body kind of snapped back pretty quickly.
You weighed 125 before.
Around the same.
Then you were 145, 43 at birth, and then you floated 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you were 117. So she kind of just snapped right back.
I just feel empowered in my body now. Like, I birthed a child, like a human living organism. I did that. So it's fucking sick, man.
Yeah.
What conversations do you look forward to having with your child versus which conversations are you not looking forward to and wondering how to address them when that time comes? So I think what I'm a little nervous for is her being biracial, and not truly being able to understand that aspect of her life. Luckily, you are here to talk to her, but if she comes to me, say you're at work and she comes home and she's like, Mom, like, why are the white kids saying this and the black kids are saying this? Like, I'm mixed, like, I'm both. Like, I can only speak on half of that, and I don't fully understand what it's like to be black, and I never will. I can feel for communities of people, and I can read stories and hear, things that happen and occur, but I've never walked into a restaurant or a movie theater or just a room and been looked at because of my skin color or been treated a different way because of my skin color. And I think that's kind of what I'm nervous for. Mostly.
Conversations I look forward to having with her. Everything. I can't wait till she talks.
Same.
I know
There's
everybody's everybody's like, oh, when she starts moving, you're in trouble. And I'm just happy she's making it this far. I don't care about none of that stuff. I'm just so happy she could be on the move all she wants. I'll be right behind her. Conversations, I guess I'm looking forward to having. I guess the one, women, women in general, conversations about her being a woman and perspective and my perspective on her being a woman or whatever she chooses to be or however her mind works in the future. But if she has any insecurities about being a woman, I want her to know, like, this is your world. This is it. This you have full control over you. So those are just conversations I really look forward to having. Is just like, be proud of who you are and what you choose to be. It's all you. Other people's opinions just don't fucking matter. Period. So those are conversations I'm looking forward to having. Conversations I'm not looking forward to having. Nothing really. I think everything has an appropriate answer. Like, going to your topic, it is a scary one for sure, and we got to pick places to move that might be better when you deal with interracial relationships. And no matter how we speak on it, there's going to be somebody who disagrees with us. There's going to be somebody who disagrees with what you just said. There's going to be somebody who disagrees with what I just said. So we have to deal with that in our interracial relationship and our biracial daughter. But she comes from survivors. She is not just black. she is Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a culture of survivors. And my culture, a culture of survivors throughout our history. That's what she is. And those are the conversations I think I'm looking forward to having. They're tough conversations, though, but ultimately, we want her to be proud of who she is and where she comes from, and that's why her name is what her name is. She has a Hebrew name, and her last name is what our name change is going through, is Adedeji. That means this crown has become two, and with that makes us whole, right? So those are the things that make me just happy that she's here, and I just can't wait to talk to her about that stuff. So I guess that's really it right there. Yeah, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck about the her. You know, she's gonna know who she is. I really have faith in that.
Thank you for having me here.
But yes, yeah, we
as
kind
a
of ran out of
guest.
time. So thank you for being on this episode. I think this was a very important first episode back, and I'm excited to be back. We'll be doing this a whole lot more.
This studio is insane, people.
Yes.
So
We are in Rec Philly. If you haven't heard of them, they're an amazing. What they're doing is amazing for other creatives. I'm so excited to just be working with them. So yeah, let's get it.
hit them up.
Yeah.
Get on the
Hit
Human
me up.
Podcast, people.
If you want to talk about some stuff in your life, let's talk about it. Let's do it. All right. Thank you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you all. Peace.